Welcome to day 15 of 66 and 26, our journey through the whole Bible in 2026. We are back in the book of Genesis today, Genesis chapters 8 through 11. And what I want to focus on today actually is in Genesis chapter 9, after Noah and his family come off of the ark. And we're told in Genesis 9, 20 and 21, that Noah planted a vineyard and then proceeded to get drunk off of the wine produced in that vineyard. And then there's some kind of strange episode with Noah and his sons in the tent and uncovered body and that kind of thing. We're not quite sure what all that means, but what I really want to focus in on is the fact that we see Noah now as a flawed character in the biblical narrative. And this is actually a pattern that we see repeated throughout the Bible. It's interesting when God gave a promise to Adam and Eve in Genesis chapter 3 that they would have children and that their seed, their son, would crush their enemy, the serpent, and the serpent's offspring. Well, Adam and Eve probably thought in that moment when God had given that promise that the son born to them, who is Cain, would be that offspring, the one to save them and to crush their enemy. Instead, Cain crushed his brother and killed his brother. We see that this one hoped to be a savior actually was sinful and flawed. And we see that throughout. Then we see it in Noah, who was also flawed. He was a righteous man, built the ark, and he was used by God for salvation of humanity and the animals on the ark. But then we see him also as a broken sinner. We'll see this then with Abraham. We'll see it with Moses, even though he's used by God to bring the people of Israel out of Egypt. We see him sin and disobey God also, not even allowed to enter into the promised land because of it. Then we see Joshua, who is Moses' replacement and who leads the people into the promised land, but even he isn't fully faithful to the Lord. And over again, we see this. The first king of Israel is a man named Saul. And Saul is a warrior's warrior. He's a king's king. He is the man that everyone's looking for to be king. He's a head taller than everybody else in Israel. And they're super excited about this. And then Saul is a train wreck. He is just a real mess. And then David, who is a man after God's own heart. You think this is going to be the one to rescue Israel. And then he too is a flawed character. You see this over and over again. And it's not that God is surprised by any of this. I think only the people who are looking to those leaders as their hope and salvation are the ones surprised. God has this plan all along. I think he even allows us to have less than desirable leaders sometimes so that we don't put our trust and our hope in those leaders. We put our trust in God. And so our hope, our strength, our salvation really is only in Jesus Christ, who is the one who was perfect. He was the Savior and always the one that was promised back at Genesis chapter 3 to Adam and Eve and promised all along to Israel and now to the world that we would have salvation in this one who was without sin and came to give his life for us.